So in many societies, birds are recognized as wise, maybe specific birds. In India, crows are recognized as wise. Crows are recognized as birds which are having ancestral wisdom. In certain other cultures, owls are recognized as wise because their sensation is very deep. The feather is rooted into the body. Small things that are happening around, physical things, it notices. It's because of this, on certain trees, it will not sit in the night. Tamarind tree is one of them, as you know. Birds don't settle in the night on a tamarind tree for certain reasons. By looking at where they build the nest, at what height, people know whether this year there is going to be a flood or not. My grand-aunt passed away. This cow just came and stood in front of the house for about 6 days. Now, see, the problem is, today you move into an apartment which is on your 10th floor and you're far removed from the earth and you have no sense of how things work on the land. We come from a pastoral culture where our wealth was always measured in terms of how many herds of cattle do you have. You just look back at the time of Mahabharata and other thing, they're always talking about herds of cattle. How many cattle did you have? This is the wealth. Why this was so is because we are a tropical country and we depend on monsoons. When the rains fail, those who had cows, their children survived. Those who do not have cows, their children died. This is a simple wisdom that we came to. So, an animal which gave us milk, which saved our children's lives, we treated it as sacred to our lives. Not only that, cows did not live in a separate cattle farm somewhere, they lived in our homes along with us. So there was an intimate relationship. So intimate, I must tell you this. One of my grand aunts who had a cow, all cows had names at one time, okay? This cow was called Lakshmi, very dear to her. At the age of 84 or 85, my grand-aunt passed away. This cow just came and stood in front of the house for about 6 days. Never ate anything, drank anything and died right there after 6 days. So that's the level of emotion that a cow is capable of. I have personally seen, when I was growing up, my grandmother always showing a particular cow and keep telling me that you are drinking the milk of this cow, this is your second mother. They were actually openly telling me, suppose your mother dies. I'm just a 2-year-old kid. These are days you were never supposed to utter death, the word death, but those days, because mothers could die. So my grandmother tell me, suppose your mother dies, this is your mother. She is the one who is nourishing you. Every day I'm told this. So every day I'm supposed to go and at least touch her and play with her for a few minutes a day. This was a part of our growing up. So naturally there was a huge emotion towards the animal, and I have personally seen that if you develop a certain intimacy with a cow, suppose you are going through some grief and some turmoil within yourself, you need not be in the presence of the cow, you are somewhere else. The cow will shed tears for you. So because it has human emotions, we said killing a cow amounts to murder. Eating a cow amounts to cannibalism. This is how it was seen in the past. Well, we can't go back to that time anymore. We are we will go into the deepest oceans, and at the bottom of the ocean, what is there, we will pick it up and eat it up. We have learned how to exploit everything on the planet, but in an agricultural nation, I want you to understand this. If you don't know this, sir, already, let me tell you this. 25% of India is turning into a desert in the next 10 to 15 years' time. How desertification happens means it's just this. In normal agricultural soil, the minimum organic content that has to be there to call soil soil is 3 to 6%. 3% is the most minimum. But today, in many states like Punjab, Haryana, Marathwada, some parts of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, the organic content has gone down to 0.05%. That means in the next 3 to 5 years, this will become sand. If you remove the organic content from the soil will become sand. If your soil becomes sand, then we say your nation is a desert, isn't it? How is this going away? I don't know, young educated people should be thinking about these things, for unfortunately we not doing this. See, you take 1 acre of land. If you take 1 acre of land, if you grow, let us say, 2 tons of some crop, what you have removed is 2 tons of topsoil. So if you want to put back organic content into the soil, there are only 2 ways: leaves from the trees and animal waste. Trees are already gone long time ago, animals you want to eat it up. How will you preserve the soil? If our soil turns into a desert, how are people going to live? With 1.3 billion population, very concentrated population, if you do not put the leaves of the tree and the animal waste back into the land, you will finish the nation. A nation which has a 12-month cropping system and which has agricultural history of 8 to 10,000 years, longest agricultural history on the planet. Now if you take away the soil and turn it into sand, is it a great thing? You have to somehow preserve it. At some point at some point in near future, we have to come to this. If you have 10 acres of land, you must have this many trees and this many animals. This will become mandatory. If it doesn't become mandatory, there will be no soil left in the nation. One thing that we can know from birds, probably better than any meteorological instruments, is if we listen to them carefully, we would know the meteorological conditions or the weather patterns very well. Many studies have observed this. On the banks of Ganga and also Narmada river, certain birds which nest very close to the water, by looking at where they build the nests, at what height, people know whether this year there is going to be a flood or not. I'm saying the birds build this nest at least 4 months before monsoons. But they will build the nest much lower if the rains are not going to be too heavy and there's not going to be any flood. But if there is going to be a flood, they will build it way higher up. Just by observing this, traditionally people have always known this year it's going to flood, this year it's not going to flood. So obviously, before any of the normal what our instruments can read in terms of meteorological conditions, before water vapor, temperature, other things manifest, already there are signs in nature which a bird is able to see. Probably among human beings, one creature who pays maximum attention to meteorological conditions is an aviator. a farmer to some extent, but much more an aviator, because one who wants to fly is always watching out for the weather, because that will decide whether you're going to fly or not, whether you will fly all the way to another world or you're going to land in this world. A lot depends on the weather. So, birds being avians, probably they have learned to pay attention to nature in terms of meteorological conditions like nobody else. There are many other aspects. One knows about the migratory patterns of the birds very distinctly. They know the weather patterns, otherwise they cannot make this flight, long-distance flights across continents. Maybe ocean-going people, that's why the pirates had a parrot they didn't have a GPS So, reading weather patterns and wind patterns, one who has to fly. Today, our flight is powered by very brutally powerful engines. But if you were to power yourself just by your own wing, the wind patterns are paramount significance. If you don't know the wind, there is no way to fly. At an early age, when I started wanting to fly hang gliders, sitting and observing the wind for days on end before you actually fly I know how important the wind is, whether it takes you up or slaps you down is a very few people, except aviators, among humans understand the significance of wind, how even subtle changes in the wind will determine what happens to you, especially if you're doing flight without… not powered flight, unpowered wing flight. If you do, you will see it's extremely important. Maybe kite flyers would also notice to some extent, but not to the same extent. So if one wants to know weather, definitely listening to birds would be great, maybe not all of them. Those who soar in the sky, those who depend very much on rising in the sky without flapping their wings. All these birds have an enormous ability to know the weather patterns and the wind patterns. In the evolutionary scale of things, we recognize, the yogic system recognizes three levels of development as very important. Within you, these three, instead of calling them aspects, let's call them these three stages of development or these three animals or lives which still are, from an amoeba to who you are right now. The three animals still live within you in different ways and represent different aspects. This is called as swana, kaka and naga. Swana means a dog. It is a mammal which is very good with its survival process. For a long time, people said that dog is the man's best friend. These days you cannot say that because of various gender issues, that why is a dog coming into our life? But a dog is the best friend of a woman right now in large parts of the world. Yes, I'm just being nasty, but dogs have acquired a different level of significance because a man used to pet a dog because it was good for his survival when he was outdoors. But a dog is being petted by women right now because it is a non-stop love affair, at least for 12 years. 12 years is a good term. So, dogs have moved from survival to providing emotional comfort. If you had a dog, if you're a hunter, if you're living somewhere outdoors, a dog is very perceptive in terms of smell and hearing. These are his qualities. Anything somewhere around, he smells it out, gets alert, even the smallest noise, his ears will go up like that and he hears. So he was always a very good support for a man and he was his best friend. But now the ladies discovered he's the best love affair, most enduring and unfailing love affair. Yes. Doesn't matter what you did in the morning and then went to office, even if you kicked him around, by the time you come in the evening, he's waiting for you. Not here, but here. So, the quality of the dog is of breath and brain as far as yoga is concerned. Swana is connected with your breath and your brain. It stimulates certain dimensions of your brain that your survival process is greatly enhanced. You become smart. No, do not misunderstand intelligence as smart. You become smart means, to be smart, you must have somebody a little dimmer than you next to you. Only then you feel smart. Otherwise, if you're by yourself, there is no chance of feeling smart. Intelligence is a different aspect. Intelligence is a very inclusive process. Being smart is always in competition with something else, being better than somebody. So, a dog is smart. So, this dimension exists within us, and by handling our breath in a certain way, the swana aspect of you can be activated. Your brain, the survival instincts in your brain can be honed, can be sharpened, that you will become smart in a given society. So this is the swana or the dog within you. I know I'm not… don't connect this to, the social usage of these words. In some societies, if they say you are a dog, that is supposed to be putting you down, even so in India, unfortunately. In some societies, oh, he's a dog, is like a great thing. In some societies, oh, dog, very tasty. Different things. I'm not talking about the social context, how it's evolved, but in yoga, we recognize these three stages of evolution as significant landmarks within you even today. So if you want to become survival smart, you do aspects of yoga which will activate the swana in you. Your breath and your brain are very connected with this aspect. The next is the kaka. Kaka does not mean just a crow, because crow is, because if it's a democracy, if all the birds vote, crows will win because their numbers used to be more, not anymore. There used to be more before the cell phone towers came. Now, their numbers have become very limited. I don't think we have seen a crow anywhere around here in the last few years. We have not seen a crow. I have not seen a crow in the yoga center at all. So, a crow used to be big in number in population, so we represented all the bird life as a crow. Kaka does not necessarily mean a crow, it means a bird. A bird is of a certain nature. Here, it's… the sense of smell and hearing is dominant in the swana or the dog. In the bird, the sense of seeing and sensations are very significant. Sense of seeing is significant, you know that the eagle that is flying up there, very high up there, nearly 2,000 feet sometimes, but he's looking down. A little mouse moves in the land here, he just knows and he comes straight down for his dinner or his lunch. So, in terms of sight, they're very sharp. You know, you want to have a bird's eye view if you want to get a grasp of the place. So, he has a vision which gives him a sense of what is what very clearly because he has a distance. Because of flight, he has a distance. Because of the distance, he gets to see things in a certain way which leads to certain wisdom. So in many societies, birds are recognized as wise, maybe specific birds. In India, crows are recognized as wise. Crows are recognized as birds which are having ancestral wisdom. In certain other cultures, owls are recognized as wise. In India, owl is considered to be stupid. This is all cultural stuff. Different people perceive different ways, but anyway, once you have a bird's eye view of something, you naturally become wise because you have a bigger picture which others who are crawling on the earth do not have. So, a bird is considered wise if one is seeking wisdom, a larger wisdom of things of the world, then you need to activate the kaka within you. And in terms of sensations, well, this is something probably most people have not paid attention to. A bird is covered with feather unless it's dressed, you know. So, let's say a little breeze comes this way, gentle, today it's strong, but let's say a gentle breeze comes this way, the feathers are not really not really live. It is alive, but not the way the rest of the body is, it's like your hair. But through these feathers, through this hair of the feather is rooted in the body in such a way that it gives a very deep sense of sensation to the bird. A bird is sleeping like this in the nights. If a snake starts moving up the tree, just that movement will give him sensations. And many times I have watched this because I have slept on the trees many days. So I have seen this, with eyes closed, they'll just jump a little bit like this. They go to the edge of the branch. With eyes closed, they're still sleeping. Those of you who sleepwalking, you know what I'm talking about. Because their sensation is very deep, the feather is rooted into the body, small things that are happening around, physical things, it notices. It's because of this, on certain trees it will not sit in the night. Tamarind tree is one of them, as you know. Birds don't settle in the night on a tamarind tree for certain reasons because their sensation is very, very sensitive and vision is very sharp. So, wisdom and sensitivity to physical things, physical sensations are very strong.